Matt,
Oh, yeah. Hello, it's me.
there's...
That's my name.
I can't talk about this yet. Okay, I can. New topic. What this topic was going to be about was the new whiskery fish mount and how that likely
whisker?
says things about the next expansion. However,
Where's this?
the next topic in our...
Ah, yes.
Yes. And actually, there it is. He is the fastest show notes man in the West. They have just dropped, because I just saw this on the store, a new Mighty Kodo pack. Oh
Mighty Kodo
my
pack?
god, a pack of Kodos.
Oh, it's a... Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a ground mount. Gotta say, though, that's pretty sick looking.
Blocky.
And it's pretty blocky. Looks a little bit more sci-fi. But I was thinking...
Night elf on a Kodo. Let's go.
See, I was thinking, like, is there anything in this that we could also read into lore-wise? But no, I think this is actually just a mount. Anyway,
Recolor, if they may put recolor this in the game for Torn, another one because store mount.
so there's that store mount. But the actual thing to talk about then is the new 6-month mount. Which, when this gets dragon riding, will this be the best mount in the game? Does
If it
this
gets dragon
swim
riding, yes.
faster?
Yep, it's an aquatic mount.
Yeah.
135 underwater.
So it flies.
Yep.
It swims fast.
Yep.
We did recently see the Blizzard added dragon riding animations to griffins.
Yep.
So I imagine this will have some form of like a generic dragon riding thing capable, which does mean that this fish might be the best mount in the game.
People have already been saying that it's currently the best mount in the game. outside of
Also,
dragon riding.
visually, it is gorgeous. The thing that I think is particularly strong with how the artists have done it is the waviness with how all the like parts of its tail move. Like just the weights on those animations are perfect. Now, obviously, there's an interesting thing, right? And maybe we can just revisit this very briefly because I don't want to make people sick of it. Remember when the exodus to FF14 was happening and people were saying, look how much better FF14 is when you sub to the game for like however much amount of time.
Stuff,
Yeah, they give you some free armor. It's quite funny that just like, wow, it does kind of do a similar thing, but because when they launched that, the game was in such dire straits that it felt like these were just like, please sub, especially because, and this was the thing that made me feel it was really bad. Blizzard would release a patch with a new 6-month promotion, and other than that patch, would there be any content in that 6 months? No. So it was very much saying, hey gamer, lock in 6 months now. P.S. We have no intention to give you any more content. F*** you. Give us money. Whereas now, it feels like if you buy a 6-month sub for World of Warcraft, it is far more likely there will be content. If you bought a 6-month sub whenever Dragonflight came out, like by the time your 6-month sub ended, you got 2 minor patches and a major patch. If you were to get a 6-month sub to jump back in for 10.1, then, you'll conceivably get 2 major patches and 2 minor patches within that sub cycle. Yeah. So I think the thing that is different now is it's always like it's give and take. Whenever they're doing something like this, in my head, it's like, right, you need to give me more if you are going to do that. In the same way that, like, in FF14, with how its store is, and I know its store is not perfectly free from controversy either, but people generally felt better with the FF14 in-game store because they felt more like it was supporting the devs, and they, I think, were more confident in the content cadence of the game.
That's true. I think there's a little bit of where, like, the comparison falls apart because in FF that's not... like consecutive subs. That's literally just, you've played for like a year, so here's your stuff.
It's more of a lifetime value reward thing.
Yeah, it's pretty minor in the grand scheme of things. Whereas for this, it's still like everything you said about being locked into subs still applies.
Yes.
It's still, we are going to incentivize you to lock yourself into playing our game.
In the same way they've
Yeah.
done for like over a decade with allowing you to purchase a 6-month sub that's more financially efficient.
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's just, it's no longer quite as egregious because they are actually updating content. So I think people would be happier with it.
Yeah.
Generally. And it's a point where, like, I don't know if I would be doing it if, like, I didn't, like, obviously need it for work a lot of the times. I don't know if I'd be playing all the time. but definitely in terms of the amount of times I log into this game, it's way more regular than usual. Even the case of, like, it used to be a season, you'd log in, do the season stuff and go. It's now there's like 3 points during a season in which you want to log in, the start and then with the 2 minor patches. If you're like my kind of player, or me as my kind of player, a player like me, I should say.
You're my kind of guy.
Yeah, a player like me who's more focused on novelty and kind of, I've done my seasonal stuff, I've got KSM, whatever. I'm not going to push really high keys. I'm not going to like idly play. I'm not going to go grind stuff randomly. It's like I'm going to play when there's content and then I'll go away until there's more content. And now I'm like definitely now playing it more like that, more regularly. And it's capturing my attention more regularly in that front. Mostly because of more content coming in.
Yeah.
Because even like I still do sometimes, but I don't need to level characters anymore because I've got 20 billion of them. So like, yeah, I don't really need to do that. But I'm still coming back for bits and pieces here and there. You're like, they're actually doing a pretty good job of that, which is cool.
Yeah, it's the sort of thing like, look, we all wish that this was a 100% a la carte experience. Right, that it didn't feel like, oh, I've paid $100 to get into the Disney theme park and the theme park is full of consumption opportunities. But we're getting a lot more. Well, it's actually pretty straight up. We are getting a ridiculous amount more content with the same amount of subscription money than we had been previously. Yeah. Because it seems they're reinvesting into the game more. Now, to actually go to the other side, because I think, talking about the store, like we'll get bored within 10 minutes. Maybe the audience will get bored within 5 minutes. So I think the thing to maybe move on to is this is an Aga mount, probably, or a Night Elf mount. Yeah,
so I don't think I have it in here anywhere else. Yeah, I don't. So there's a whole big thing. There's a video coming out on, I think it's now coming out on Sunday, that talks about this and how it's connected to next expansion. But, and I don't have all the details here, but I can kind of recap quickly. So,
we're going off piste. We're freestyling.
This boyo is, you can look at him, you can see the armor, you can have a little, like Subway servers and half the screen, you can just watch this mount special over and over again while I talk. So you can see it's this like colorful, nice fish. It's obviously the Nishikigoi, the koi fish. That's like from the I think they were first domesticated in China, but they're like a staple of Japanese like koi ponds, fish ponds. They're a beautiful thing, and it's got the kind of Naga styled armor, kind of like a version of the the old highborn stuff, like that, but evolved in a way. And also, these have 2 descriptions. The in-game one says there's basically a fisher folk tale of like, they tell a story about this one because it always gets away, and every time the tale is retold, it gets bigger, which is just a fun little mythological way of explaining big fish right on. But the other description, which is the one on the blog post and the one that's currently on Warcraft mounts, I actually thought they'd retconned it immediately and changed it. But it says that these were hunted or nearly hunted to extinction until the Ankoan rescued them. So it's got Naga ass armor on it, and it's got with ass armor to saddle. I didn't mean that anyway. But the Ankoan, obviously, the Ankoan are a version of the Jinyu that we only know in context of Nazjatar,
and they're also fighting the Naga. Steroids. They all look like really shredded.
Yeah, so they're there fighting the Naga, and that's where we know them. And then you remember that the Naga were on the Forbidden Reach, as were pirates. You remember the Naga had a book called The Song of the Depths, which we'll talk about slightly later in context with a certain bit of lore revelations.
We mentioned all of this in passing in the Sunday video. I think we should probably tie this together.
We have a plan to bring it all together. Yeah, we've got that on in the works. Of course, it's just I wanted something more quick and snappy and covering the stories so people understand it. But the Song of the Depths is the Harbinger, which Iridikron mentioned in the thing. We'll talk about that shortly. But basically, every time there's been a 6-month sub, or almost every time, it's been in the next expansion. People have been talking about this recently, saying, well, it doesn't make a lot of sense that, you can't just say, well, we know what the next expansion is now, because you see this. Because no one saw the Fey Dragon and said, oh, Warlords of Draenor, of course, we understand everything. But the Fey Dragon was a flight path mount and was, like, part of an aesthetic in Shadowman Valley. With the Rune Saber that went on the 6-month sub, or in the story, I can't remember which, before Legion, you look at the Rune Saber and go, well, that doesn't look like it's from Legion, but it was in Suramar. And now no one saw the
Yeah.
mount and went, "Oh, night elves, hi, the Nightborn Suramar." No one figured that out. But
It's
it's
the taxi
obvious.
mounts. It's always
Yeah.
the zone taxi mount, like the Incortial, whatever the hell it is, Mana Worm that was in
Ensorcelled
the.
Mana Worm, yeah.
That's it. Yeah, it was in the Shadowlands thingy. The
Well, that was
Sylvarin
the
Dreamer.
The Sylvarian Dreamer was a slightly different one because
It was 6 months up.
but the taxi mount was the worm, which
Yeah,
was
and that was
the
the collector's edition.
Yes.
Yeah,
But anyway, the point is that these are always things taken from the next expansion.
yeah.
And they're always taken in a way that you don't immediately get it. The Sylvarian Dreamer was going to be the what do I call it? Yeah, the captain of Into the Dragonflight. But there was the Sapphire Skyblazer, which is a recolor of that. Is the Jarden have those as like Firebirds? There was the Iron Horde Rylac as well. Yeah, there was that too. There was what was the one for the Sylvarian Dreamer was Ardenweald. So it was.
Yep.
And that's kind of like been going. So you go, if this is, and it's not just like, okay, we've got this one little piece of data, we can extrapolate this forever. What this is us pulling a lot of data together, where we've been teased about the Naga, we've been teased about the Void, we've been teased about water and the other side of Azeroth and stuff. All this is coming together to paint a picture. So if that was all there, then you go, well, okay, what's this then? And not to say it is, but what do you what could it possibly be is kind of the speculative part of this that we're trying to have fun with. The Yankoan, the Naga, underwater. Completely makes sense. It's also quite pretty. It's also quite removed from what you'd expect of, say, a Void expansion.
Unless, is it the Midnight Zone? Or no, it's the one before the Midnight Zone. Basically, the point that I'm actually going to is
The Steam Scale Incinerator being clearly Bakugan as well.
underwater has a lot of opportunity for color and for
Yep.
alien, beyond alien looking cosmic-y shit. Like, if you want to find stuff that looks close to, say, the Devourers from Shadowlands, go below the ocean. You know, go like 2 kilometers down in and around some fucking deep sea vent or cold seep. And you'll see, you know, all this crazy shit, right? All these fellas are like, oh yeah, no UV light reaches here. Guess I'll be transparent then. Which is really cool. Anyway, that stuff in my head looks exactly what like a cosmic void sort of enemy would kind of be like, which I don't know. For some reason, it all fits. Now, the other side of this to me is like, you're going to do a Japan expansion?
That's the thing where
let's just take a boat across the ocean, find Japan. We're like, fuck yeah, let's go.
So now this is really funny because it ties into something I did literally for a joke, right? Which was
Myths of Japandia.
yeah, someone posted a just a piss take. It was like an image of the world map of World of Warcraft. Well, I can maybe just fire it in here actually. 1 second, but it was a picture of the world map, and it was Kalimdor was gone.
Oh
and,
yeah.
they were just like, did they just delete Kalimdor and EU? And then I had an idea, which in hindsight wasn't really all that funny. But I thought I would do it anyway because that's what you do. You just think you have stupid ideas and then you make them happen. But ultimately I took it and put it in a different world map. And there's a funny realization to that, which is, I can't remember who was saying about drinking every time FF14 is mentioned. But
Oh dear.
yeah, but I made, look at that. There's Kalimdor up there. But that's over in the east of thing. And then I think it was Keyboard Turn was like, oh yeah, so we could just go off the west of Kalimdor and end up in Hingash, end up in basically FF14's version of the east. And you're like, sorted. That's
Done.
it. We're going to go over to the west and we'll find the Yankoan. We'll find the Yankoan. We'll find the Naga fighting over a load of stuff. And it'll all be like potential for, and like,
God, I'm just thinking of hanging out in Higane. Higane?
Kugane.
Kugane, yeah, all that music's so nice.
Yep. So one of the things basically the thing I mean about this more than anything else is not that it's going to be, this is what it looks like, but this is what one small part of the expansion zone could look like,
Yes.
which is kind of, you know, the way Shadow Moon Valley was really gorgeous, but also WoD was pretty like diverse in that sense. It's just, they're clearly going to have some more stuff that looks that way. And it'll all be Naga, it'll all be Ankoan, and it'll of course all be, what do you call it? I'll be close to the Void and Asharan, etc., 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 and Xalatath and the Harbinger and Ridicron and his ancient Void Dragon Soul and all that thing. If you're wondering what I'm talking about, we should maybe move on to our next part then.